Let's see. We gotta be official. I'll just do the 15-second opening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Boom. Part two.
Part two. Difficulties.
Oh nope, I don't want that one. Sorry. Oop.
This is that way.
Okay. There we go. We're back again. Internet difficulties. And there was I would have just went night. Maybe went up and watched a movie
Hey, I never
or
got to.
something.
I was off screen and I showed my PowerPoint with the what is the definition of religion? We should start
Definition.
there again,
Let's do that. Definition
huh?
of religion.
Sure.
Because
Oh, man, sure.
I always just say religion like because I don't want to argue with them about the first two definitions you showed us. So welcome to Proverbs Guys Ministries. This is part two. Internet shut down on us. Um, don't believe technology can, is affected. Well, it could be by Satan, but I think it was just the
Some
internet
say
here. Okay,
technology is
so
Satan. Yeah.
religion. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
these
we got people that
I
believe
pulled
that.
these, I think, off
Anyway,
of dictionary.com. It might have just been a Google search, but yeah, so these three definitions, you might be able to throw atheism in there. The first one is obviously, Christianity and stuff like that, the belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods, right? And the second one, a particular system of faith and worship. I guess, assuming that life created itself and started from nothing when the laws of physics won't allow it, that's a particular system of faith, even if you don't admit it, or a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. I don't know, like walking the earth, it's important to you that there is no God. I don't know. You, that might fit in that category. I hope Jason comes
no,
back.
and it doesn't say. Yeah, it. He probably is the one that messed up my internet.
Kicked us out.
Um,
Well, it's working fine now that he's
he's probably
on. I
been.
mean, there's a
No, I'm not going to say
conspiracy
that
there.
though, because because it was high, strong, and right now it's strong. But then when I looked at it again. It's like, oh, it's not strong. So that's probably when we got bounced.
Average. Was that you who
Bounced.
said, "Hey, Rich," or is that Steven?
That's Steven.
Oh,
I
hey,
think.
man. Come on in, man.
I think he was working today. And
Oh,
he
that's
told me
right.
what
He's
time.
got like a graveyard shift now, isn't he?
Yeah, and he said what time he was getting off, but I mix up because he's two hours ahead, so I'd just be dabbing in the dark
Yeah.
with what time. So anyway, we had a great show here on the Designer Show, I think, but it was late starting, and I'm so glad that Richard, you came on in because it's really fun to tag team. I'm really on the design aspect, a world class designer.
Me too, brother.
I love saying that because I feel like he's retarded. He can't say a sentence. You listen to my opening. I love my opening because, I was giving a message to some Philippine workers and
Mhm.
telling them and that's my opening. That's why I keep it up because so much. I mean, it was so much fun to tell these people that God came on Earth, and they really got me because I said, "What was he when he came to Earth?" And one of the guys goes, "He was God." And it's like, no, he was came into the household of a builder, a carpenter. And once they figured that out, you could just see him like, wow, Jesus Christ, God was a carpenter. And so that was really fun. And then, but then I was trying to relay the message that you know we're sinful, and I would rather steal a chicken than go and I was wanted to say, "Hey, Claude, welcome back." I wanted to say, I'd rather just steal a chicken. That's why. See that I'm kind of dense. That's why Steven said he's probably out stealing chickens. I said, in without God, why wouldn't I just steal a chicken, um, instead of going paying for a dinner. And it just came out. I'd rather steal a chicken than have a dinner, something like that. It's like, but anyway, so I
Is
keep it
that
on there only because, you know,
is that
what's
conscious
that?
morality? Is that evidence for intelligent design? You know that
No,
little
because it
catfish
naturally
itself
just
says,
happened. Because
well, I mean, like you're
no, no,
not
no, no
walking,
morality.
you,
No
you're not
morality
walking to
is
steal that. We both keep talking. So go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's a little pause. So no, it's morality is totally natural because there was a bunch of monkeys running apes, and they had to stick together because there was these other monkeys, like the chimpanzee type of guys that would have ripped them apart. So the apes had to get bigger. Oh, actually, the chimpanzees were our cousins. Darn it, man! Got to remember short tails. So, but no, it totally happened because it before that, there's these herds of animals, and if they don't stick together, they're going to get eaten by the gorillas. And so that got into their little psyche, and but it had to be earlier because they're not our direct descendants. You got to remember that tree. So whatever those little rat creatures looking dog things that we came from as um, apes, they had to stick together, and that got ingrained. They had to have morals not to eat each other, although they probably did. Um, but then that's why it totally by slow mutations, undirected mutations. It got into our brains that we should stick together, unless though you're like unless you're in a different tribe. Now, we'd have to see that because if you have a bunch of rats, if there's plenty of food, they'll hang out together. But if they start losing food, not enough food for their little, they'll start eating. First they'll start eating the. Okay, no, that's more of a not evidence for godless worldview. So, but you see how easy that is. Slow, incremental. Now here, listen to this one because we have too many people on the earth, right?
Eh,
We're
it
told.
depends on who you
So
talk to.
no, no, no. Let's go with naturalism. We got too many people. We're destroying the planet. So wouldn't the next um, evolution up be be a psychopath? Cause come on, Richard, you're just taking up air. You
Yeah,
know. So why should I not kill you and take your stuff? You know what I mean? That's what they do in inner cities, in gangs, in not even in the inner cities. Um, look at our world right now.
well, that's just
Somebody,
sin. If you lived without any sort of moral conscience, you wouldn't want to. I mean, that I guess is a question. Is that moral conscious, knowing, I guess, to not steal or not kill or not beat somebody. Where does that come from? I mean, how
deep
are
time,
things like anger and love part of evolution? I don't understand emotion. Emotion doesn't really make sense from if the goal is survival of the fittest, is that is a big part of it. Why am I going to want to love all these people to keep them around to from stealing my food?
that is the stupid thing because we're this tribe, but no, I'm not a tribe. I can't go anywhere I want. But you got the people in power. They could come and take your stuff right now. They can say, "Oh, Richard, public domain," and then
I
sell
got
it.
to
And
grow up.
we've had
Got it.
that. um, yeah, no, but, I mean,
I got two.
so they are the strongest. They are the more powerful. They can do a lot more genetic. I, you're getting me off track because I got a whole bunch out there I used today, and my Dewalts, I love them. But yeah, so they don't make sense because they aren't they aren't the stronger. They aren't to believe that Bill Gates, he's just one of us. He just wants me around. And it's like, no, those
Look, I have
people, and I
atomic
don't care who
weapons.
they are.
I have atomic weapons, weapons of mass
What?
destruction. So it says on the back of my DeWalt.
What is
It's an atomic weapon. Never mind. Don't ask.
that? Is awesome. So you can get me out of here easy. Um, no, I'm not a fundamental. Oh, I love that one. See, that's why we got to have Claude around, and that's why I can't have him. Be a Christian too quick. Well, he could stop all his perverted talk, but these kind of jokes, it's fun. Um,
Well, we just don't need to show the other ones, and just hide the.
oh, did I? I didn't read this one first. Theism is the belief in God. Atheism is,
Atheist is the opposite.
is the opposite. Believe there is no God, or you believe there's no evidence for God. That's still a belief because there is evidence for God, and you guys just like, no, that's not evidence. Just the things I've told you and said is that how the universe come into existence. Well, we don't know. Well, we do know the cause has to be outside of the universe. It has to be outside of no time, no matter, no space, no energy. That's what it had to come from. And so you're going, oh, well, we just don't know. So it's not God. Well, sounds like God. The best uniform evidence we have is that something had to be intelligent to do this because it's like so complex. So
That that
totally.
also
Um,
that also brings up the question, like, oh well, if you can't create matter or energy, maybe the universe is infinite. But that's when you look at the laws of motion again. Because the universe is in motion, something had to initiate it. So I think because it's in motion, it couldn't have been infinite. It had to have a beginning point.
I'm, I agree. And
He-
so, but again,
he's
and
just
Claude,
making
that's
fun of
why
you,
we
huh?
keep it up. Oh, no, totally. But that's okay because he has to go to so and to ridicule is the best form of being. I can't argue against you because
Mm.
yeah, fairies are in nature. Fairies are part of nature. People think gods, and they say, "Oh, which god?" Well, it can't be any of the Greek gods because they were inside time, space, and matter. They
Wait,
came
wait,
from
wait, wait a
somewhere
minute.
and they
Birds
did
can
that.
fly. Does that mean Tinkerbell must exist?
That is actually
No.
Claude. That could be. And so, but that's where
Okay, okay.
um, you know, that and but again, when you have to define science and say that it can't be anything but through materialistic means, you're limiting science. Atheists and true science followers by the dictionary are limiting science. So of course you can't have evidence outside of the material universe because that's not science then, according to you guys, because you had to change the dictionary belief because that wasn't science before. Isaac Newton, he must not have been a scientist because he did believe in God. So you guys, and it's fun, and that's what Richard. All this time I've had is that's why religion is can't be science. Anything outside of time, space, and matter cannot be used in science. So, and it's kind of disingenuous then of them when they say, "Well, we don't know what brought everything into existence." Well, that's not science. So how can we? Because it's outside the material universe. So of course we can't know that because science doesn't go there. I was like, what?
I'd
You're
say
limiting.
outside of what is it, the scientific method. I mean, it is science has, I guess. There we go with definitions again, but yeah, there are many different definitions of sciences. When it comes to actually using the scientific method to get the physical proof. Yeah, I mean, how do you define spiritual? I don't think you could call it spiritual matter, but how do you define what the spirit is? How do you? define a dimension you cannot see? You know, how does
And you
a flat man on a piece of paper define the third dimension without seeing it? I don't know.
Yeah, and so this is actually a good question because it can go both ways. No, because it goes both ways. Claude, define how we got here. How did the universe
Great
have the
philosophy.
great singularity expansion?
Should go into philosophy,
And it's
Claude.
like,
But
oh, and I've had no, well, because I've had smart dudes come back and say, well, Dan, we don't know that. Oh, so you have no evidence that it's not God, that it wasn't there wasn't a creator, an intelligence. Well, how did the universe just be what did and who was that? You might remember him. Wasn't that the guy in the wheelchair, the real genius guy that said that
Stephen Hawking,
it looks like yeah, wasn't he the well, I won't say a name, but the guy said it looks like it's been tampered with. It is so precise in how the universe is in existence. It looks like something something messed with it to make it so perfect. Um, that was an atheist guy, but he can't say God because that's not science. Because God has to be outside of time, space, and matter, and energy, and so Claude, don't ask questions like you did here because there's tons more on the scientific end. How did life start from chemicals? How did you get 200 proteins needed for life, respiration, digestion, eating, moving in your environment? Um, all and these were the abiogenesis scientists. 200 proteins, and proteins are complex little buggers. They had to be there in the first point of life starting. And so it's like, you don't know, Claude. That's not a good question for you because no, there's a lot more things that you as an atheist has to say. I don't know. I don't know how the expansion happened. I don't know how. I just take it on faith that it happened because it's here. I don't know how evolution happened from the Cambrian explosion that we got 12 body parts within a few million, 100 million years. A drop in the bucket of your deep time. So, yeah, spaghetti monster, abiogenesis, fairies, the great expansion. So, no, we got the same ones, Claude. So take that. All right, yours, Richard.
well, here's more evidence, for God without actually being able to physically test the spirit. The second law of thermodynamics states that all spontaneous processes in the universe tend towards increasing entropy, which is a measure of disorder or randomness. This means that systems naturally move from a state of order to a state of greater disorder. Got a question for you, real quick. How did the universe get into a state of order in the first place? If the Big
It
Bang
blew up. It's
happened, if the Big Bang happened, all that matter from a singularity just all of a sudden was just into a bunch of just random matter. It would all from that point move from a state of greater disorder. It would never organize by itself. Let me ask you again, how did the universe get into a state of order in the first place?
well, and see, it's even more difficult than that because they'll say it's not matter. It was just the energy expanding. So not only then is
Well, then you'd have
it
no
would be
matter.
easier to correct, and so that's the thing is that you have all this expansion of energy. They're telling me now because Doc always said, how do you fit everything into a singularity? All the matter, and they go, no, no, it was the energy that expanded, and then so but they're giving more layers of complexity because now it's like that energy is like expanding, and that energy had to form into matter and light to get the time. How do you have time without light, and light is an outsource. Anyway, we won't go there because then they'll say maybe it's energy output. I don't know, but you're expanding those energy, and then it has to form into matter. So you're even one more complexity of getting energy into matter, and it's going that way, and then to have it all to form into galaxies. Uh, let me answer Claude's
Yep, yep, my bad.
real quick, and then we'll get to Big Bad Mama. Um, Claude was,
Please do.
how did the universe get order? A Hindu friend says it was Brahma did it. Okay, so again, um, in the intelligent design is just that some intelligence did it. So then you have to have a comparison religion, goody, and then so let's go an easy one. I won't go into the East, the Hindus, because it's according what God, because there's tons of them out there. And then, of course, you have to, um, yeah, we won't go there. Muslim belief that, you know, the sun actually goes and sets into a muddy pond. Yep, that is there. That's one of the things. Um, and so you look at that, it's like, well, the sun doesn't go into a muddy pond. And he didn't, that wasn't a spiritual meeting. And then other things. And so he'd say, no, that guy is not right because they say they come from Christianity. Or, I mean, from Old Testament. Oh, well, they do because they believe in Jesus. So you got to say, how does then the Muslim God, Allah, relate to, they say they come from Old Testament. And then you go like, no. Then they go, whoa, they messed up. The Apostle Paul, he was just a jerk. He wasn't really a good guy. Jesus was a good guy, but he wasn't crucified. God took him out, and Judas probably got crucified instead. So you'd have to say, well,
Well, then
Islam,
they
where it's
formed the
saying it's
band Judas
just an
Priest.
offshoot, the next level of Christianity. What's that?
I said then they formed the band Judas Priest. Never mind.
Yeah.
Digress.
No, and so that's how you do it, Claude. And then you go into the Hindu religion, which, you had all kinds of gods. And then Hindu, of course, then Buddhism came out of Hinduism because they talk about reincarnation. And the Buddha dude, I can't remember his name ever because it's a foreign name, kind of like some French name you can't pronounce. But the Buddha guy, and he didn't like the thought of being reincarnated because he was this prince dude. His dad would take him out. They clean the streets, and this is the Buddhist interpretation. It's the history is that the king would clear the streets, so when his little boy got out there, he would never see any suffering. He saw suffering, and it's, oh my gosh! And I believe in reincarnation. I don't want to be reincarnated then. And now, of course, Buddhism doesn't have reincarnation. Well, it does, but you can actually be transformed right into the God force up there. And again, Buddhism and Hinduism, they don't really have outside time, space, and matter, almighty God, almighty intelligence. So again, Claude, that was just study of comparison religions. Europe, Richard.
First off, nobody knows how matter got nuclear forces. Nobody can explain how it happened. There's more energy in matter than I can't really. That there's a lot of energy in every single piece of matter. I like how I don't understand what you're saying. Can you elaborate on how gravitational forces put the universe into order? Because without matter, you can't have gravity. So Stephen Hawking did say, because there's a thing such as the law of gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. But I'm pretty sure that he understood that you got a chicken and an egg problem there. You can't have gravity without the matter, and according to him, you can't have matter without the gravity. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? So how did gravitational forces put the universe into order. I mean, if you have any piece of matter, that whatever it is, and you add energy to it, it's going to start to deteriorate and fall apart. I mean, I got a couple pictures of that. I mean, if you need an example, just look at an old house. I'd like to. I'm curious about how you think, or what you've read about how gravitational forces can put the universe into order.
I will quote another person in the community. It is the faith of evolution. Raise your hands. Um, we have a confessing Christian believer who she started that, and it's so funny. And these are kind of high priests of the evolution religion. But it's faith, guys. Just at least admit that you got to believe that from faith, because then again, Big Bad Mama, you're talking about outside time, space, and matter and energy. So so gravity is that's not matter. Gravity is a force. Yeah. So got this one.
Yeah, I got this one. There's no God force. Adding God unnecessarily complicates your argument, since you have to say how was God created
Oh,
and how
this
he
is easy.
creates
Yeah.
an evidence outside the Bible that Jesus was God. Um, I guess the best way to explain it is, I mean, look at a painting, or look at, a computer, for example. The guy who put this computer together isn't running around inside the computer. The engineer was outside of it. Or look at a painting. The painting didn't exist. Its universe didn't exist until the painter actually put it together. So from the point of view of the painting, the painter has always existed, because his time wasn't there or created until the painter put it into existence. The same is a thing from God, and we do take that on faith, because the beginning of the Bible is, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, right? So that's where we, I guess, get the fundamental principle of, okay, God put it into place. Now, how do we explain that? That's where we say God has always been, because from our point of view, we didn't exist until we awoke. The universe didn't exist until God put it into being. Physics won't allow it to create itself, so the only logical explanation is that something had to put it there. Something had to put it into motion.
Well, and the other, just the first thing is that everything in existence has a cause. Um, the little we have an alarm here when somebody goes through the door, and it's a little bird out in the greenhouse, so we know if somebody's walking into the nursery. And so, oh, that just happens by something. No, there's a nice little chippy thing that and a sensor. So if you break that sensor, it's going to send a signal to the little device. We have it on bird chirping. I really like it, but hopefully it's maybe no, it's not the frogs. Those are real. So everything has a cause. So God being outside whatever the creation is. So whatever did it had to be outside time, space, and energy. And so
Your frog
so I
stopped.
just
I had to throw some out there. I have no
oh man.
attention span.
No, me neither. We're bad. We're bad together. And so whatever started it in motion could not have been the same thing it is. A cause has to be different than what you got. The little chirpy over there happened because of breaking a little sensor line. That's what created the alarm to people to know that there's people here at the nursery. So God, or okay, let's not even go God. Let's not go Jesus. It's just a intelligence. Nothing in our um, universal human experience can be cited with any evidence that could come into existence without a cause. That's kind of,
So
and
the second
Big
part of
Man
his
Mama, you're
question
smarter than I
outside the
am.
Bible, the second part of his question outside the Bible, is there any proof that Jesus was God? I haven't memorized it. I wish I had a better memory, but is a lot of Roman documentation that Jesus did exist. There is a lot of archaeological evidence that does support the Bible, then that makes the Bible true. Like Sodom and Gomorrah. There's a ton of artifacts out there for that stuff. The whole city of the plain around the Dead Sea. There are many archaeological digs, and I could pull it up on my PowerPoint. I mean, we don't have anybody watching right now, but um,
No,
there,
that's okay. On
there,
that on that
there
though,
were.
that is true. There's no, the fact of science needs a cause has nothing to do with Jesus being God. That is just something. Then the comparative religion, all other religions out there, it's something you have to do. Even Mormonism, who says they're Christians, you have to do something to please that big guy not in the sky, the supernatural, outside of time, space, and matter. You have to please them. How do you please something that is all powerful? And it would have to be all powerful to create. And so, Big Bad Mama, you look at that and it's like, that's through comparative religion. And I know you're not perfect. And so that just goes with the novel predictions in the scripture. Even the Mormon guy, oh, people can be good. Mm, that's not a definition of perfection. So if you're and we had fun with that one time because I said, "Are you perfect?" He goes, "I'm 95% perfect." He was joking with me, and it's like, of course, no, you're either perfect or imperfect. Yet humans are striving to get better, striving again. All that evidence that it's an outside force, and then again, even more. And you can add this one after this one thought, Richard, is that not even your painting, because they go, oh, well, painting, that's of natural material. Then close your eyes and imagine something that is not material. There's nothing material about my thoughts.
I'd
Therefore,
like to know how
that's not
consciousness
that's not
evolved. How did
well,
consciousness
but it's not
itself
even
evolve?
not even how it evolved, Richard.
Yeah.
Consciousness is not material. It's a, and they'd even say it's a um, evolutionary thing that is not material because we can't touch it, can't see it, and so then it's not part of science. So that's why they could probably get away with that, because consciousness is not part of science because it is not of the material universe. Anyway, um,
I want to pull this up real quick, going back to biblical evidence. This was from a secular scientist or archaeologist actually did a dig on one of the cities of the plains, one of the Sodom and Gomorrah type cities around the Dead Sea. I believe this one was on the northeastern part of the Dead Sea when he dug this up. So Dr. Stephen Collins examined one of the sites, and among many artifacts, he found pottery shards with surface melted into glass, showing things like melted and boiled zircon crystals, which only boil at a temperature of about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. He says that the superficial melt glass, which is meant that whatever causes extreme heat only happen momentarily, or the pieces of melt product would be totally melted. I've got another slide on here which says they estimate what caused that was basically, I think, 1,000 times an airburst that was 1,000 times more powerful than the bombs dropped in Japan during World War II. And this was archaeological evidence from thousands of years ago. So, I mean, that's another Bible story that's been proved true through archaeology.
well, no, and now it's always fun because back in the day, it was like 1920s. They knew that the Bible was not true because there was no third king of Babylon. Was that Belshazzar? Was he the last guy? Yeah, and so it was a fairy tale. The book of Daniel was a fairy tale because there was no king. Because he was such a big king, you would have had to. He would have had to been there. And then in the 1920s or something, they see this big old mound of sand. They start digging it. Whoa, this is something. Let's keep digging. It was his city. And then what it turned out is that they were still all three alive. There was the grandpa. Uh, let me get it right. The one that was eating grass. Nebuchadnezzar. Then oh, I'm gonna. Hello, Robin. Yes, we're misinforming people, but that's keeps us content and happy and not out murdering people. So
See, look, you weren't here earlier when I showed off my what is it? To get the stupid camera to work. Look, I have atomic weapons in my house. Right?
no
It,
nukes.
it's it's made by Dwalt. Won't work.
No,
Stupid.
no, and I agree with Robin. She said today because I was joking that we should just nuke them or somebody. I don't know. Just that old term. Um, and so she said, "No nukes." I was like, "No, I'm just joking with that one. No nuke. I'm really with you there." Um, but you have a nuke. I Now I'm jealous. I don't have a nuclear one. But is that even legal in the United States? Uh-oh. Now that you've shown it, you're going to probably have a bunch of people in hazmat suits at your door. Actually, there's a real good evidence that consciousness may be material. Maybe,
Please
Robin, you
send me.
guys always use that maybe. And if I was born with a tail, I might have been a monkey. Um, and
You have
but oh no,
eyeballs. You may be a whale. You know.
no. And
I'm
so,
just
and
saying.
again,
I'm just saying. Whales have eyeballs, so I mean, you could be a fish. You know, Dan.
you know
You hang
what?
out
And
with
that's the thing,
frogs all
because
the time, so I mean, it sounds like it's possible.
and Robin will agree with me because she doesn't like Richard Dawkins. But if you,
I want to debate
man,
that guy.
oh, he would be. All you'd have to do is read his books, Climbing Mount Improbable,
Robin, are you absolutely sure?
probable. Oh yeah, it was all these. Yeah, that because there's all these little small steps, and you're gonna get to the top. And no, you're not. No, no. And then the other one is the blind watchmaker. It's like
Have you
really,
ever eaten a
really.
whale, Robin? How do
And
you
then
know that they are not fish? Have you ever eaten a whale? They taste the same to me. At least they seem like they would. I can do it too.
no, and
So
it's how you define things. Before they didn't have classifications, and it's not that they weren't, and Robin, this is that, yeah, they didn't have, the milk trucks, they didn't have that stuff, but they built pyramids. So if they got the word wrong for that whales, they didn't have that word, but they were smart. It's not like they were stupid, was the reason they didn't classify mammals, fish, other things. And in the Bible, it does talk about just the things in the sea. They call them fish, um, other than land creatures. So it's just different definitions. And again, I've heard a lot of people. I had my debate with the Mormon guy, and he was like, "Oh, these people back in the first few
I
centuries
don't eat
were
whales.
idiots," and I was like, "Why not?"
They get
Um,
stuck in my teeth.
I had actually this
I
guy,
thought she was on
really
our
good guy.
side now.
Mm, She is a friend of Proverbs, guys. She's still um, loved, even though she doesn't believe in a creator.
Yet,
Um, the
yet.
evidence. No, sorry, let me get it right. She doesn't believe there's evidence for a creator. So that's why I keep doing my shows because
I,
there's so
I
much.
don't believe there's evidence for a creator either if I cover my eyes, man.
And again, that's why I look at and show like the DNA. Now, DNA, you had to have some kind of code, and they said, "Oh, it was RNA." That was the first one, and then they're going, no, because RNA will dissipate. It doesn't stay connected, and that's why you have to have the double helix, the form of the DNA to have it actually be stable. Otherwise, it goes away within hours. So if you create a DNA or an RNA, as such as the RNA world, that was the first life had RNA, you only had like within 8 hours before, even in modern science, in the way they can keep stuff, you don't. It's a short time and your RNA is no longer any good. And that's in scientific lab conditions. And so but again, you've got to like imagine how do you have first life? You have to have the instructions. And then even if there's like, came up like, oh, this was first life, and it's like these orange peels, and then it developed later um into having you know the the DNA. Well, but still, then inside the DNA is the instructions. It's just instructions. So you have to have the proteins to actually do stuff. So, but inside the RNA is the instructions for the DNA or for the proteins. But the proteins are the ones that read the DNA. So you have to have the little protein machines and totally complex to read the DNA to then create other proteins to do the functions of the cell. So it's like, and making the other stuff. So it's like, wait a minute, that's the biggest chicken and egg, because you need RNA. Sorry, you need DNA to make proteins, but you need proteins to make the DNA and other proteins. So you had to have them both at the same time. Well, how do you have a reader? But then also, then you have to have the little proteins that are going to make the respiratory system inside the living creature. You also need instructions, designs to make the cell lining or the life form's lining.
And where did the
Um,
laminin protein come in to hold everything together? You know,
all of that. And then two, and why you need others is that you need the garbage can protein or whatever it is. I don't even know if it's a protein, but you have the recycle port that you shove in, and there you have to have some kind of little molecular structure to take the junk, the parts of the cell that's dying. You have to take it to the recycle machine, and the recycle machine breaks it back down into just usable parts. If you don't have that, your cell dies really quick. The energy, the mitochondrial, let me get that right, mitochondrial, which is taking energy and making is it the protons? I believe it's protons. I believe it's the protons that actually run the cell. Might be the electrons, whichever it is. But you need those to come through. Oh, come on, guys. No, no. Let me design a garden, or New York City. New York City needs a lot more garbage stuff now that we got a communist in there, but they've always been trashy. Cities are hard to keep clean. Anyhow, you want to read this one?
well, I'm trying to. There's something I mean, I know I'm kind of the new guy here, but this is a Christian ministry. I don't agree with what Robin is doing here. This could get out of hand real quick.
Oh,
So I
what's she
remember,
doing?
well, we now have atheists that are like allowing to be mods for no reason. You know, this is a Christian show. I don't agree with this. I mean, this isn't
Um,
my show, but
yeah, well, no, it's the channel, and so we've had some mods that'll just like ban people. So this is an open communication. So the reason they're a moderator, and then if they abuse it, we've had then atheists that have abused it. I think I don't know if
that's
actually
what
I
I'm
can't
saying.
say
I've
that.
heard some stories from before I got here. Like Steven stepped away and came back, and all of a sudden there was just a bunch of terrible, inappropriate stuff on the screen trying to get YouTube to shut us down. That's what I'm saying. Is this a wise decision?
Oh well, they could do that anyway. We don't have anybody like that can do something onto the screen. They can do that in chat, but it takes one of us. So a moderator, it just means that they can't be booted unless it's one of us.
Right.
So if we give somebody another Christian, if we give two confessing Christians a mod wrench, they can kick people off. So we want to do that so it's not the war thing. So then we'd have people like a now Claude. We've booted him, timed him out a while because sometimes he'll get um, a little bit racy.
Hmm.
People that cuss. We don't allow cussing here, but we want the different views. Like Big Bad Mama here. I don't even know if he has a ranch, but Big Bad Mama. I mean, he comes up with the best questions, and to me, that's the ones I want, is so I can go for it. But nowhere's are they just because they have a moderator, they can't run um, anything on the channel itself. And you can ask
Okay,
Stephen.
I didn't know how it works. So,
Yeah. So
I
that
just
just
saw that promotion to atheists on a Christian channel. I was a little confused exactly what was going on.
right,
Uh,
and so that way, because we've had people, even hosts, and we couldn't even make them. They actually most of those guys left because they just banned people. And our thing is, if you bad language, but we want to. I'm not afraid of Big Bad Mama's questions, and actually, it makes me think more.
oh, great
Um,
questions. I'm just thinking, I've seen how some atheists, I don't know Big Bad Mama, so this could be stereotypical for me, forgive me, but I've seen some atheists just, get pissed off and snap, and just start doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So I just
I have to
wanted in
really.
the
I'm
interest of the ministry, I was thinking.
Yeah,
But
no, that would be a question for but no, so like Robin, she's atheist, but she's open to she's not a mean atheist. Big Bad Mama, not a mean atheist. Claude is a mean atheist, but he's kind of my mean atheist. And again, if he says something crude, rude, sorry, come on, Claude, that's our one rule. Um, and then talking smack about DAL. Um, anyway, that's what that is. But Stephen could tell you more detail. Um, so yeah, that's it on that. And I don't even
I've been
know.
thinking about doing an open panel for kind of debating the moon landings or the flat Earth theory. Should I dare do that on this channel?
I don't know. You'd have Achilles, and
I
he
know that's
stays
kind
away
of why I
from it.
want to do it.
Yeah, so it's not a salvation issue, and and so I'm open to anything, but I would have to touch that ice wall. I'd have to die seeing you know having some protector of the ice wall. No, anyway, there's just things that it's not salvation issues. So
Right. I've been thinking about maybe doing like
I love.
maybe a bi-weekly thing, but I don't know. Like I can't sit here like you guys can and continue, to talk for like 45 minutes or an hour on a subject. So that's why I haven't really done a weekly type of thing. I tried it, before, and
Stick,
I don't know, so I'm
but
contemplating thinking
you
about
just
it.
well, I'm getting better internet. I hope in the next couple days. So I'd love to join you on those things because it's I, and babbling for 45 minutes is not that hard. I can teach the best of you how to babble for an hour or five, but it's just mine is just mainly Claude. I'm 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 gonna ban
I'm still
Steven. Steven,
thinking.
where are you? I did that one time because Bruce. We're talking on a serious Bible study thing. He comes in and he's like, and just references something, and it's like buttermilk, and
Yeah,
it's like, Bruce, serious Bible here, and that's the problem is we try to be lighthearted, but at the same time, if you're right in the midst, and it was about ending the show, and it's like, no, 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 you, you
it's my internet
that's
or your internet? Oh, Dan.
am I
Hello.
that was me, that was you. Dan preaching in the Philippines. People provided he can talk. Claude, they don't speak English that well, so they had an interpreter. Yeah, that's the right word. So they just want to hear somebody. They'd even listen to you, Claude, because they like the Americans better. Your French accent's got nothing on my American accent. So, plus they like, America saved them in World War II. So a lot of them still like us for that. But anyway, um, what's the next one? Bruce. Oh, what was Bruce? Bruce was running a show on gang. Oh, I missed that one. I thought what Claude was that on the Proverbs guys? Gigi told me that it might be poor Bruce. No, I gotta be because he really preaches the gospel well. But I tried to tell him like on Paul with the Corinthians. Paul said, I'm in letter. I'm gonna like smack you guys, but when I come, I want you guys to when I get there, Claude. When I get there to Corinth, I want to be nice to you guys. But he said, I do it with tears. I'm really sad to have to admonish you guys. And Bruce is not quite to that part. And I don't care if he admonishes me, but it's like, don't do it like you got horns on and a pitchfork. You got to do it, in love. Paul's the one that gives you the right to admonish other believers, but got to do it in love, man. Tears. I've never seen Bruce. Yeah, independent fundamental Baptist. Nothing wrong with them, but man, do it with love. So it was Gigi's show. Yeah, Gigi told me, and I forgot. I'm gonna have to look at that one. How'd it go? Did you watch it, Claude? Bruce had a show, and Gigi seemed to think it was gonna be, telling what's up with the Proverbs guys. Well, I'm not an Are you an independent fundamental Baptist too, Richard? It sounds like
Sorry, I had to. I don't know. Like I used to be Baptist, and I've kind of had a little bit of change of heart. I don't know where you kind of put it, but I think, to be honest, we are so divided as a body of Christ because of doctrine right now, and so it's really tough for me to put a label on it. I've seen Christians argue over the dumbest little things, In the body of Christ, we should be united in this world because we have a war going on, and Satan's best tactic is, or one of his best tactics, is to just get in there and divide and conquer. Um,
no, exactly, and too, that was what 1400s that Machiavelli did his book, The Princes, and all he was doing, and they weren't happy when he did it, but he was like just telling princes that didn't know, I guess, is that you got to divide and conquer. You use their religion, use their non-religion, use their national, their race or whatever to get people to fight, so you get to be the guy with the power. And it's age old that you would try to divide and conquer. Um, I left Gigi's show to come see your show, Dan, 4 hours late. That's why I knew there was a reason. I think Bruce was having a show at 3, so I didn't want to, you know, get in his way. And actually, yeah, because I was gonna watch at least the first hour. Anyway, what did I just saw it for a few minutes? Bruce
I
is
got to go
showing
to bed
on
soon.
Gangster Ghost.
I'm gonna give you another
You
10 minutes,
wimp.
Dan, and I got to get out of here.
How about like 5.5, and then we're gone an hour? Let's try to get it exact.
Yeah, yeah, we could do that. I mean, we did do what, a
Yeah.
good half hour before that, so yeah,
Oh, we
time.
had like we had an hour, but it's early here still. Not early. I mean, it's 'cause
Yeah,
I worked
I've
11
got
hours today.
I've got a Bible
Oh my!
devotion. I got to do it in 6.5 hours, and I'm probably gonna sleep through it.
Oh, what is today? Today is Sunday.
Okay.
Tuesday, I have shoot. I got to cook breakfast on Tuesday for about 10 to 20 guys. Um,
Well,
actually,
take a
Gemma's been
plate, roll it in
have my
dry
wife.
ice, and ship it to the East Coast, will you?
Gemma will be helping me cook, so it'll be good. We're gonna do some kind of egg. What did I have? Oh, I had egg and I made some egg with sweet potato and vegetables. Man, it was killer. Although Gemma might not let me use the sweet potatoes with it, but I thought it was good. She doesn't trust that my other old guy friends are gonna eat it, but they pretty well eat what I put out. So, and then I only cook like once 6 weeks or something. Um, you could always get clawed on. Um, oh, I didn't put a link today. Why didn't you guys say that? Oh well, too late. We only got 6 minutes left. Left. Give me your
Yeah,
best questions.
yeah,
I am going to watch to see if they were bashing us. Yeah, it's always fun because you're Bruce always already bashes us because I'm not an independent fundamental Baptist, and it's really funny because he quit one church. So it was like, wait a minute, that was an independent fundamental Baptist church you quit because you didn't like it anymore. Was it the church or was it Bruce? No, it's just so much and the division. No, Christ and him crucified. So that's one reason, and it's funny because he didn't like Gangster Goat's show because he lets atheists on his on actually have his shows, and so he goes, "Oh, Gigi, he's got," and then he goes over to Gigi's show. He's a nice guy and everything, but I really pray for him because I hopefully he's saved, but he's just a little rusty still, new Christian. Um, what do we got? I'm expensive though,
yeah.
dude.
That's
They
funny.
I they don't have enough money to pay me. It's all IOUs. Okay, okay. Proverbs guys have no money, so
Hey, I have
it's
more
all
money than
IOUs
God. Okay, serious. I have more money than God. He doesn't use money, by the way.
because
Just to
he
throw
has.
that out. I think I got 55 cents
um,
in my.
yeah, I don't keep cash because it always goes away. I can never keep it. Claude, good lordy, it's Claudie. What? I probably should read them first because if I don't understand it, then I'll act like I don't know.
A lot of it
All
has to do.
right.
So
Um, your rewards will be in heaven.
he's right there.
Claude, we have rewards just by having the fruit of the spirit, by having God Himself reside inside of us. That is why, and then at the end of the show, that's why I am once saved, always saved in my belief system because it's like God is gonna. Okay, come on. Do you know how hard it is to move? Okay, maybe God's a little bit different. Maybe it's easier for Him to move in to your temple. Um, but then he knows if you're gonna if it's the whole woo, roller coaster or the yo-yo faith that if the yo-yo's up you're believing and if it's down the bottom no, I don't believe anymore. And so how does the Holy Spirit not get dizzy? Oh, yesterday he believed in me, I moved on in and I cleaned house and I but now I'm out again. And it's like I think God knew who and knows who's going to be in faith at the last bit of life. And so, why would he move into somebody's heart if he knows they're just going to reject him? That's just mine. And then again, the whole adoption thing. That was one I had to do with a Mormon. He said that as an heir, you have to sign a document or something. And it's like, no, 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 no. The point is the adoption. The adoption is always the adopter. If there's somebody need adopting, I adopt them. They're my son or daughter. It's not up to them. They can walk away, but they're still my son or daughter, just like if they were my biological son or daughter. They can walk away, but they're still my son and daughter or daughter. And that's what so that's why I'm Once saved, always saved. What did Claude say now? But do different people get different rewards? You know what, Claude, and seriously on that, I don't care, because I'm just so tickled to death to be able to um, try to live for God, do the works that were appointed before creation. Come on, that's so cool. And Claude, seriously, you are the test. You are one of the tests of my salvation. To keep loving you is sometimes hard. Got it, bud. Um,
Hey, hey, quiet, dogs.
I'm glad Maxine.
I'm trying
I'm
to
glad
mute this, and
Maxine's
the
not here.
dog
She'd
is
start barking.
pushing my.
Oh, Maxine does that all the time. I'm trying to do something. She'll push my hand to try. Yeah, I'm petting you because you're forcing me to. That's kind of like what people think of God. Is like, oh, how could God send somebody to hell? And it's like your dog's probably the same way. You're sitting there and they stick their nose there and they they're forcing you to pet them. And it's like, no, God's not going to force you to love him. And yeah, Maxine though has been so tickled because it's spring. There's no fleas out there. Not having to cover every day with whatever. And so she's been able to sleep in bed with Philip, and so she's been tickled to death. Gemma, my wife from the Philippines, Maxine's the first dog she's ever allowed in the house. When growing up, they were always outside dogs. Um, Claude, are you barking out there? Oh, wait a minute. Boom. Man, I think we're having you the 10 minutes. You and Robert had a great talk. I am so stoked. I even had a good talk with Jason. He was so funny. Were you on when he came in first,
Uh,
Richard?
while I was listening, I was walking back to my camper. I was planning on joining. Yeah, he stepped in. I was
Okay,
listening,
yeah.
but I wasn't on.
This is only the second time that he's been able to come on live with us. I think he's figured it out now. But yeah, so he hasn't know the thing like comes in. I want to talk about politics or whatever. It's like this is a creation show. Go ahead though, Jason. I'm just so happy you're here anyway. Um, he's a good guy, and he's really a good guy because he lets me tease him all the time, and he's always like, "Gosh, you got to pretend whatever I'm saying is I'm saying because I'm an idiot because." It's just that thing, that split second when you say something stupid and the people go like, but yeah, and then they go, oh, Dan, you're in it. That's how you catch them. Okay, one more, and then we'll get out of here. Maybe one more. I didn't read it again. Dogs only bark like dogs and never bark like non-dogs. Hoven. That is
That does
true.
sound like something
Unless,
Doc would say.
unless you step on their throat, then they're not going to bark like a dog. Or if the Muslims take over and it's a black dog, they ain't gonna bark at all because of course black dogs are satanic.
Well, I think Muslims, is
So
it
they gotta
Muslims or
kill them.
Hindus that are afraid of dogs and think that they, I don't know, something about their religion. They can't even touch them. They can't be touched by them. They can't be around them. They
Well,
say unclean. I don't know.
Latins are afraid of dogs. Latin people, Mexican, um, Guatemalan, all those. No, I don't know. Somebody said since the Spanish came with dogs, they would have they and that wasn't a fun thing, but they would let the dogs attack the natives. And somebody said, "Oh, it's genetic now that they're scared of dogs." I don't believe that. But anyway, that was a stupid thing to say because I just repeated something that it's like, dude, I don't think you were right. But anyway, yeah, I don't know about them, but the Muslims and they if you let a dog in your house, the angels won't come in. That's any color dog. And
Well, that
dogs
would
are just for
definitely
working.
explain the smell in my house. I mean, never mind.
Well, we're doing better at giving Maxine baths, so that's another reason she could get into.
Yeah, I got to take my doodle in for his annual $120 haircut. Jeez. Well,
Oh man, get some
trying.
good
I
pruning.
guess you could say.
Oh,
Yeah.
we already did that one.
Oh, did you? I wasn't paying attention then. Never
Oh,
mind.
that's okay. Uh
I'm
oh.
tired, bro. I'm actually think I'm gonna take off, man.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go. But see that Robin, we like Robin around because she's not very bright. She said it seems like you're a good guy. So
Careful, bro.
she even thinks I'm a good guy. That's why we keep her around. It's like she's even easily deceived. Joking. Of course, Robert and I are good guys. Try converting him out of Mormonism. Oh, see, and she's funny too. All right, guys. Let me say a quick prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to share the love, share the experience of you moving inside, of you giving us the fruit of the Spirit, and helping us to get better. Nothing we can do. Just pray for our friends. Pray for Richard's sleep. They can get something out of the Bible study, and for all our other friends, Claude and Robin and Big Bad Mama that were here. You know, we have no ill will, and we do want them to live long and prosper so
Lord
they can
help
know
us
you.
all this
We pray
tomorrow.
this. Yeah, in Jesus' name. All right, sir. Let me see if I can do this right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
This was part two. So we just had a nice chat of the designer talk. I want music. We want music. Unless you want to sing. Oh, no, this is different. This is for everybody who put up with us. Layers. Here we go. I think this is it. We're gone. God bless you.